Hi guys, welcome to another episode of MrLopezClasses.com. This is the chapter A of our diesel engine class. In this chapter we are going to talk about the plain bearings. Where are located, what type of plain bearings are commonly used in a typical diesel engines, and what is the procedure to check the tolerance in between the bearings and the metals. We are going to use the technique of the plastic gauge. Okay, my friends, the bearings. You remember in previous episodes I mentioned that depending of the quality of the bearings is the life of the engine. In other words, when the soft metal, remember that the bearings they are composed by a piece of steel covered with two layers. The first one normally is copper, and the last one is babbit. It's a special alloy. The other name of this alloy is a soft alloy or white metal. It's soft because the content of lead. The advantage of this alloy is that with high temperatures, the metal tries to become liquid and work like a lubricant in between the bearings and the metal. When the soft metal, when the white metal is gone, is completely deteriorated, the play in between the bearing and the crankshaft increase, and you remember the code of knocking, and you have low oil pressure. If you have low oil pressure, immediately the performance of the engine goes down. This is the indication. If you have low oil pressure, in a couple of minutes you have a low compression and immediately high temperature, and suddenly the engine lose all the properties. For that reason, it's very, very important check all the time the oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure gauge in your engine indicate the condition of the bearings. The oil pressure gauge indicate the condition of the bearings. And also, it's important when you do the service in a diesel engine, take a sample of oil and send to the laboratory in order to investigate if the bearings are deteriorated. How can you determine if the bearings are deteriorated? Yes, because you have a high content of lead, a high content of zinc, high content of tin, high content of copper. Those are indicators that the soft metal is gone and the bearings are damaged. Other good indicator, simple indicator, is the oil pressure on the engine. Okay, the life of the engine depends of the condition of the bearings. This is very, very important. In this area, in between the crankshaft and the bearing, the film of oil with high pressure is produced. In that surface is produced the maximum pressure. This is the pressure that you read on the pressure gauge, is the pressure created here. For that reason, it's important verify the thickness of those bearings and verify if those bearings are appropriate for the crankshaft or for the camshaft. We are going to check right now where are located the most important plain bearings in a typical diesel engine. For that reason, I want to share with yours the following video that we are going to see right now on the screen. Okay, those are the plain bearings. This is a radial bearing located on the crank pin or rod pin. That bearing support the explosion of the piston. The other plain bearing is the bearing of the main journals, radial and axial. In this particular case, this is double function. There are other ones individual, like the bearing that you have on the screen right now for the axial load. Okay, those are the main bearings for main journals. And now we have other additional bearings for the camshaft. Those are the plain bearings located on the journals where the camshaft is located. Those are plain bearings You can see in this picture, this is the bearing, and this is a bearing with a babbitt in the surface, and this is the drill, this is the hole where the oil is circulating. This oil, remember that the crankshaft is hollow. My friend, don't forget, the crankshaft is hollow. Let me refresh. How many elements inside of the diesel engines are hollow? What is the meaning of that? That the oil circulates internally. Okay, one element is the crankshaft. The crankshaft have special cavities, like the picture that you have on the screen right now. Those cavities allow the flow of oil at high pressure coming from the oil pump. Okay, the crankshaft is one of those elements. What other element is hollow? Yes, the push rods. The push rods connected in between the lifter and the rocker arms, the push rods are hollows. In some diesel engines, the connecting rod is hollow. Yeah. What other element is hollow that allow the pass of oil? Connecting rods, crankshaft, and the block. The block have a lot of cavities, passages where the oil is circulating at high pressure. Okay, don't forget, this is very important. Yes, in this particular case, in our video, you can verify that all the parts of the crankshaft are completely free. Look at this hole. The hole located in the main journal. That hole passed through the other side and keep lubricated the main bearing. The main bearing on the main journals. That hole matched exactly with this channel, with this groove on the bearings. Yeah, this is very, very important. Let me exactly. This is the hole, and that hole is communicated, yeah, with the other holes on the crankshaft. All the holes, and those holes, the oil circulate internally and keep lubricated the bearings and keep the pressure on the bearings according with the manufacturer recommendation. If the pressure decreases, the manufacturer recommendation, you have problems, and immediately there are a lot of codes on the computer, on the display of the console. Yeah, this is the procedure to verify that those holes are free, and those are the holes coming from the oil pump with high pressure, with oil at high pressure. Other plain bearing. Okay, we have in the connecting rod, we have two plain bearings. One in the bottom, in the big hole, and other on top, on the small hole. The top one is not in babbitt, is in bronze. It's a special bronze with high level of phosphorus. Those bearings are exactly the same bearings that the bearing that you have in the shaft of the turbocharger we are going to study later. And those bearings are similar to the bearing that you have in the shaft of the start motor. Bronze bearings with high content of phosphorus. For that reason, in the future, when we take the oil sample, we are going to analyze. If we found a high level of phosphorus, one possibility is the plain bearings on the pin of the pistons, or the plain bearings on the turbo, or the plain bearings on the start motor, but the start motor is not connected with the oil of the engine. For that reason, this is not part of the consideration. Okay, let me check the procedure to remove the pin. The procedure to remove the pin on the piston, we are going to study later in the next chapter, the pistons. That's the procedure, and in this part of the piston is in contact lock with this special plain bearing in bronze. It's a special bronze for high load, because this plain bearing support the maximum radial load, because here in the center of this plain bearing is supported the explosion on the head of the piston. Those bearings are special bearings for high radial loads. The material is similar to the material used on the bearings for the turbocharger we are going to study later. It's a special bronze with high level of phosphorus, right? This is and on top, if you check here, is the hole for the lubrication. Yeah, we are going to put in back the piston quickly, and we introduce the pin carefully until the pin reach the other side. Okay, we are going to study in the next episode the pistons and the procedure to disassemble the piston. Okay, my friends, those are the most important plain bearings that we are going to use. Remember, if the plain bearings are not properly lubricated, what happens if the plain bearings are not properly lubricated? The plain bearings are, the soft metal is gone immediately, and you have a knock sensor activated, and you have low oil pressure immediately. Alright, for that reason, the life of the engine depends on the condition of the bearings, and the condition of the bearings depend on the quality of the oil. In chapter number 10, we are going to talk about the different type of oils and how to keep the engine running in perfect condition for a long period of time. It's simple. Only try to keep the engine and the oil as clean as possible. If the oil is clean, you have engine for years and years. Try to keep the oil as clean as possible, and try to use the oil recommended by the manufacturer. This is other important recommendation. The people think that the most expensive oil is better. Not necessary. Depend of the engine, depend of the year of fabrication, and depend on the recommendation of the manufacturer. This is the most important part. If that engine is recommended for mineral oil, use mineral oil. If that engine is recommended only for full synthetic, use full synthetic. But follow the recommendation of the manufacturer. We are going to talk later about the qualities of the oil. All right? The life of the engine depends on the quality of the oil, the quality of the bearings, and the performance of the diesel engine. The performance of the diesel engine depends on the compression. If the compression is good, the compression in the combustion chamber is other vital factor. Okay, my friend, right now we are going to talk about the procedure to test if the bearings that I select are appropriate for my crankshaft or for my camshaft, and if those bearings are according with the tolerance recommended by the manufacturer in the service manual. Once again, the $1 million question. You have the service manual in your hand? No. Don't try to continue with the reparation. If you don't have the service manual, it's impossible to replace bearings, because you need to verify what is the tolerance recommended, what is the play recommended for this particular engine, for this particular crankshaft, for those particular bearings. Okay? Service manual. Service manual is the most important element in all the reparation, in all the steps for diesel engines. Okay, diesel and gasoline is the same. Okay, we are going to check right now the procedure to check the plastic gauge. There are basically three types of what is the plastic gauge? The plastic gauge procedure is simple. I am going to open, for example, this is the journal, this is the main journal. I am going to remove the cap of the journal, and I am going to locate a piece of plastic. It's a filament of plastic on the crankshaft, and I am going to put in back the cap, and I am going to compress the cap according with the torque recommended by the manufacturer. After that, I am going to remove the cap, and I am going to verify how much was the deformation of the plastic. And according with the thickness of that deformation, I know how much is the tolerance on the bearings. It's simple. Alright, we are going to use three types. The most common are three types of filaments. The filaments of red color, plastic, green color, or blue color, like the filament that we have on the screen right now. Okay, those are the filaments. The red one, the blue one. Okay, the blue ones, those are the tolerance. The tolerance, I have the tolerance on the screen. and this is the red one with the tolerance recommended per each one. What is the meaning of that? You need verify in the service manual, like the service manual that you have on the screen right now, how much is the tolerance recommended for that particular engine? How much is the play recommended? The maximum play. According with the maximum play, you select the plastic gauge red or blue or green. And right now, you do the process that I am going to explain right now on the video. It's a simple process. Okay, I have the three plastic elements, and now I am ready to start with the procedure to verify. In this particular case, let me show to you quickly. In this particular case, this is the clearance recommended for this engine. In this case, is in between 0.002 and 0.004 inches. In the example that we are going to solve it right now, the book, the service manual for that engine recommend a tolerance around 0.0025. For that reason, we are going to use the green filament, the plastic gauge color green, and we are going to apply the torque recommended by the manufacturer in main journals and in crampings, in both of them. And we are going to check if the deformation is according with the manual. If the deformation is good, those are the bearings recommended. Suppose that the deformation is bigger, the deformation of the plastic, when I compress the plastic. What is the meaning of that? If the deformation is bigger than the recommended, those bearings are too close, too big, too thick. I need order bearings a little thinner. Alright? What happens if when I apply the torque, the deformation is practically nothing? It's too much play. I need thicker bearings. Remember that you replace the bearings standard, plus 10, plus 20, or plus 40. Really it's not plus 10, it's plus 0.001, plus 20 is plus 0.002 or 0.004. Alright? You can order the bearings in those 4 dimensions. The bearings are according with the recommendation of the machine shop. You remember the procedure when you send the machine shop, the crankshaft to the machine shop, they return the crankshaft properly polished, and they say right now you need use with the crankshaft bearings plus 20 or plus 40 that they recommend. When you order the bearings, you put the bearings, and before you assemble the engine, I recommend check with plastic gauge if those bearings are according with the tolerance accepted or recommended for the manufacturer. If the tolerance is not according, you need order other bearings oversized or undersized, depending. Okay, that's clear? Always when you receive the bearings, check with the plastic gauge if the bearings have the tolerance appropriate. Believe me, I have a lot of experience with that, because you assembly the engine, you finish the engine, you start the engine, and 3 weeks later the customer calls to you, the pressure is low, the pressure is below 40, is 20, 25, and you need disassembly the engine completely to replace the bearings, because the bearings have too much play, too much tolerance. For that reason, I recommend always before you assemble the engine, check the tolerance, check the manual, and apply the plastic gauge and verify if the tolerance is according with the recommendation of the manufacturer. Alright, we are going to continue with our video. Okay, and now we are going to remove the bearings. We are going to clean the bearing. Don't touch with your fingers the bobbin. Try to avoid touch with your fingers the bobbin. Okay, and right now we are going to cut it and a small filament of a plastic gauge. And a small filament, I have a small filament pre-cutted, and I am going to put that small piece of plastic on the journal, on the main journal. Alright, this is the procedure. I put the plastic on the journal, and right now I am going to put back the cap in the position appropriated, and I am going to torque. Never try to rotate the crankshaft. Don't move the crankshaft. And I am going to apply the torque recommended by the manufacturer. Okay, with the wrench, with the socket, I approximate the nuts, and now with the torque wrench, I apply the torque recommended. Normally, I apply the torque in 2 steps. If like in this case is 60 psi, I go with the 40, and after that with 60. This is 40 and 40 in both nuts, and after that I adjust to 60 and I apply the force, the torque appropriated 60 and 60, and now I am ready to remove the cap again and verify how much was the deformation of the plastic gauge in that particular journal. We are going to verify. We have a piece of paper with the color of the deformations, and we are going to verify if we are in the range of deformation. This is the deformation of, okay, and we are going to cut the piece of paper. If you see on the piece of paper, there are different bands with colors according with the deformation. Okay, our deformation match with this one, and this one in particular is 0.002. This is perfect because it's according with the recommendation of the manufacturer. We are in the range. We are okay. The deformation is okay. Those bearings are perfect, and those bearings can be installed right now. And we are going to do the same on the crank pin. We are going to apply the plastic. We are going to put in back the cap, and we are going to apply the torque recommended by the manufacturer. Exactly the same torque. That torque is a little less. This is 45, and we are going to apply the torque appropriated, and after that, yeah, we adjust the torque wrench, we apply the torque, and now we are ready to remove the nuts and remove the cap of the connecting rod and verify how much was the deformation. In this particular case, once again, the deformation of the plastic is exactly in the same like the recommended by the manufacturer. Both bearings are in perfect condition. Okay guys, this is the procedure to verify if the bearings are in good conditions. It's simple. That's the procedure of the plastic gauge, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is a very useful video for yours in the future when you try to repair any type of engine, gas or diesel. Check the bearings before you assemble the engine again. Thank you.